Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rumcast. We are, of course, the podcast that talks all things rum related with the people who love and shape it. And two of those people who love it are myself, yours truly, John Gulla, and with me as always, Will Hookinga. We have a really fun show topic lined up for us today, talking about 10 really great budget-friendly rums. But before we get to that, Will, how are things on your end up there, and what have you been up to lately?
They're good, John. Nice, lovely little introduction. You know, what's new for me lately, I actually was able to do something for the first time. I guess it was 2 weeks ago now. Time is a strange concept to me. I took like 2 weeks off from work and was doing various things, and now I'm getting back into it, and I'm just all over the place. Dog sitting a puppy this weekend. Things are a little wild.
You need more rum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nothing a little more rum can't fix, right? There.
Yeah, well, I had all the rum I could handle a couple weeks back. I was able to judge a tasting competition for the first time ever, which was something, I won't lie, I was a little intimidated about doing it. I think I've shared on the podcast in the past that over maybe the past couple of years, I've really tried to improve at analytical drinking a little bit, which is, you know, something I need to be in the mood for to do. I'm not the type of person who every time I sit down to drink, I pull out a notebook and you know, scribble down notes and stuff. A lot of times I just want to relax and, you know, enjoy what I'm tasting, but not overly, you know, be overly analytical about it. However, I have found in having a podcast about rum and in just talking to producers more and more, it's really handy to be able to describe what you think about the way something tastes. And that's kind of a skill that you have to work at. So I've been working at it, but the mounting challenge of tasting about maybe 70-ish spirits over the course of 2 days and having to write down notes and scores and things for all of them and try to be as thoughtful as I possibly can because, you know, people are entering this because they want feedback and things like that. So taking it more seriously than I ever have at home probably. But anyway, this was the American Craft Spirits Association annual judging of craft spirits. So it's going to be all products made in the U.S. However, they do accept entries into the competition that may be sourced from outside of the U.S. So it would be possible to encounter a Jamaican rum, for example, in this competition.
And that's just independent bottlers are bringing it in?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So over the course of 2 days, like I said, I was at the rum table. It wasn't 100% rum the whole time, but the first day was basically 90% devoted to rum. So tasted a whole bunch of rum. And tasting competitions are one of those things that I've always looked at a little bit sideways. And I think lots of people like you and me, you know, who love rum and want to know about the best rum, we see rums that are winning. And, you know, we notice this phenomenon where it's like almost every rum out there has some kind of award, right? Even the ones that you don't really think are that good. And, you know, part of the reason for that is because there's no single standardized way of all these competitions to be run. So you have competitions that some hand out tons and tons of medals.
Everyone gets a medal.
Exactly. Others are much more strict, but it's really hard as a consumer to kind of understand which ones are worth paying attention to, which ones are not. You and I were actually texting a couple weeks back. Our friend of the podcast, Lance Sewersballer from the Lone Caner, had a really great article about the 2022 Spirits Business Rum and Cachaça Masters. I thought his article is full of great points. I think we're going to try to have Lance on at some point in the future to talk about all this in more detail. We should. But anyway, I was heading into this competition really hoping to find something that I felt wasn't just handing out medals left and right, actually had rules and things that made sense and, you know, would make it done in a way that consumers could actually learn something meaningful from the results of it. And I did walk away. I was really impressed with the way they ran it. I thought it was done really fairly and never felt any pressure at all to award medals and things like that. And just to give you kind of an overview of how their system works. So I'm at a table with 3 other people. And this is also the other thing that I thought was really cool, and I was surprised a bit. So I was at this table that did rum. Friend and former guest of the podcast, Zan Kong, joined me. So I thought it was really cool that this competition for you know, American-made craft spirits brought in someone from the Caribbean that has that
is
experience.
cool.
You know, obviously Zan's from Worthy Park. If you're not familiar with him, go back and listen to our interview with Zan. And then Jason Zeno, who is an American distiller, he actually is the distiller behind Share Me Rum, which I wrote an article about recently. Fresh cane juice rum out of Louisiana. And then a woman named Tanika Reeves was the fourth judge. She is part of a group called Cocktail Bandits. Their emphasis is on cocktails and that sort of culture and everything. Okay. So I thought you really had these four very different perspectives. You had Zan, who has that, you know, working for a Caribbean rum brand experience. You had Zeno, who is an actual distiller making rum, bringing his perspective. You had Tanika, who has this great cocktail perspective. And Bianca, I mean, she's not just knowledgeable in cocktails. Like, that's just what her main thing focuses on. And then somehow I was there. I don't know. I was probably bringing the least to the table, but I'm just this guy with a podcast. So
So wait, so there's just 4 judges for this
per table. There's I want to say like 8 or 9 different tables and stuff like that. And so basically you're all tasting together. You each make your scores independently. You have some discussion at the end because there's a number assigned to it. So it's a 100-point scale. 70 to 79 is a bronze, 80 to 89 is a silver, and 90 and above is a gold. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but I do want to talk about, so they gave basically descriptions for what each of those medal thresholds are. And here's one of the things that impressed me was, so bronze medal, what that translates to is very good. This is a very well-made spirit showcasing strong quality, celebrated as standing out above the ordinary and everyday. So just getting a bronze to me meant like, this is a very good spirit. You know, it's like, it's beyond just the regular. Silver is supposed to be outstanding. Gold is supposed to be exceptional, which they describe as a rare achievement, as a standout at the top of the industry. I don't want to say too much about, you know, the scoring and like how many rums got what and like what rums were there, because they haven't released that publicly yet. I will say it was all blind for us judges, and each spirit had like a corresponding number. And so like if you tasted something that you thought was really good or maybe really not so good and you were really curious to find out what it was, you could make a little note in your notepad just what number. And then at the end of the judging and everything, they take you into a back room that has everything, and you can walk around, you can retaste stuff. So that was really cool.
The curtain is lifted.
I will say the highest thing that I awarded was an 85, which people may listen to that and be like, wow, that's really low. But again, going back to the definitions here, 85 is outstanding. They describe the silver as an exciting spirit that deserves to be highlighted for skill, talent, and quality. So I didn't find something that I assigned a gold. Other people at my table did. But the cool part was we're able to discuss that, and like, you know, if someone really feels strongly about something, you can kind of like have that debate, and people can have an opportunity to adjust accordingly if they want to. But I'll just say, like, overall, it was really challenging tasting that many spirits all at once, and again, trying to be thoughtful and everything. But ACSA did a phenomenal job putting it together. It was in Charleston. Highwire Distilling hosted us there, and a great experience.
Are you swigging and spitting after all these, or
yes.
You pretty much have to, right?
You do. I mean, I have to. I would say everyone at my table was doing that. I probably spit about 90 to 95% of the time. Yeah. I would, save a swallow if I really wanted to enjoy something a little bit more, or just if I was really, struggling trying to pick up something, I might give it a swallow. But actually, that was a style of tasting that I wasn't entirely accustomed to. So I spent a lot of time practicing my my swig and spit before the competition.
You practiced your spit game. Wow.
I did, because I'd be at a table of people spitting in front of them. I had to make sure it wasn't like looking and sounding disgusting while doing it. So.
Yeah. I'm not sure there is a great way to not sound disgusting doing that, but I get it.
You're all kind of doing it. Eventually, it becomes white noise.
Yeah. Do you get to keep your infinity spit cask there that you end with, or
you could if you want? Each of us had our own little cup, and then we had a dump bucket in the middle. So.
Oh, it was a communal dump bucket. Got
I will
it.
say you have to be careful because you have so many glasses there in front of you and like different things that like and you have like a glass of water as well. There were several times where I picked up my spit cup and like almost took a sip of it, like while trying to reach for water or something like that. So.
Yeah. Did you get did your palate get tired at some point, and if so, like how did you address that? Like did you like get up and walk around and stretch, or like I don't know.
There was a moment where Zan and Zeno both got up and did push-ups, which I thought was pretty funny. I didn't end up doing that, but they have like pine nuts and just like plain as can be, almost like communion wafer type crackers.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have those. I would say like by the end of each day, I was pretty tired of tasting, but I never felt what I would describe as like extreme palate fatigue.
Okay.
It's not like I hit a point where I was just like, man, I just can't get in. I've got nothing left. I will say at the end of the day, the last thing I wanted was to drink more spirits. So we ended up both days going to this dive bar in Charleston called the Recovery Room, or the Rec Room for short. And they sell more 12-ounce PBR cans than any other place in the world for 8 years running. They have a big banner for it. Yeah. Huh. So hit up the dive bar. Had to have a couple of PBRs. But that's all I wanted after a long day of cold spirits. Was just not cold spirits, of drinking spirits. Was a cold beer that I didn't have to think about.
Huh. And you went for PBR.
That's right. Yeah, I did. It was great. They sell
nothing
more
wrong with that.
How many other chances would I have to drink a PBR in the place that sells more 12-ounce cans than anywhere else in the world?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. I guess that's fine. Probably not my choice. I don't drink very much beer, so can't call me a beer connoisseur. That's for sure. But interesting to hear, and I'm excited to kind of hear as. Let's say you do another one in the future, how that changes and how you develop over time with getting more used to things, and how if you get to do a different competition and judge, how that compares. So it sounds like an awesome experience, and I'm glad you were able to do it. It's interesting. So one other question I had before we move on, was price a factor at all?
Price was not a factor.
I would figure it wouldn't be, but like, how does that play into, as you see the reveals? Sorry, I cut you off, but yeah.
No, I would say that the amount of information you were given was basically like age information in terms of like length of time aging. It wasn't always specific, but it might be like 4 years and under, for example, or something like that. And with rum, they also always gave the base sugarcane material, whether it was, molasses or cane juice or whatever, they told you that, and they gave you the proof as well. So that was the information you had. Yeah, price was not really something to factor in terms of
they didn't group them in terms of categories.
No.
Okay.
No. So it's entirely just like taste, and that's it.
Right. Well, you can imagine that would be unfair in certain ways if you have a certain rum that is, again, price is determined by a lot of things, but something that is coming in at full proof, and like you said, they do have proof as part of a factor there, so I get that. But yeah, we know that price is a factor in our everyday buying habits, right? And for rum connoisseurs. And so I asked that question because I think it kind of feeds into what we were talking about today and excited to address.
Exactly.
Which is our top 5 for this episode, which usually, we do top 3.
I know.
But today it's top 5.
We had to extend it a little bit.
It's exciting. Yeah. That's exciting for me.
We are talking about our 5 picks for rums under $30. That was the main idea. We came up with a few more qualifiers, which we'll get into after the break. But that was the genesis of this. Let's talk about which rums we think are the best under $30 and see where the conversation takes us.
Yeah.
So on that note, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and dive into kind of how we split these up and came up with categories for it. right, so we are back getting ready to jump into our discussion of our 5. I don't know, like, I think I said best before we went into the break. Maybe it's just favorite. You and I always I feel like quibble about these words. I usually lean towards favorite, so I don't know why I said best, but I think this is just, I think the way we came up with this was kind of if we had to build our own little personal bar of 5 rums
all under $30, right?
With a few more qualifiers we'll get into in a second, like what would we pick for it? So
exactly.
I guess, I don't know if favorite is the right word, best, but these are like 5 good rums. We can say that way, I think. How did you think about this?
Preferred. I take issue with the word best in the way that you're saying also. I'm not sure that I went for the best. I went for something that I think, like you said, it makes sense. I'm picking 5 rums, all with those constraints, the under $30. And then we didn't mention this yet, but we also had talked about we want at least one of them to be unaged, one of them to be a cane juice base, and they all have to be from different countries.
Right.
So our 5 have to be each from different countries. I can't pick 5 from Barbados, which if there were less constraints, maybe I would pick 2 from Barbados because, I like Barbados rum.
Well, so I will admit my list, I somehow, we came up with that qualifier, and then right before we started, I was like, oh crap, I have 2 Jamaican rums in this. Hold on, I have to redo my list real quick. So,
well, at least you can count because I had 6 somehow, and I had to cut it down. Yeah.
Apologies to the one that I just had to cut right before we started. I'll get to that in a second. But
we can do after. Yeah.
I do think one thing about this, you were talking about. I don't know if this is the 5 best necessarily or even favorite. One thing I factored in was how these rums work together, because I was imagining this as like I have to build a 5-bottle bar essentially. So like I'm not going to have stuff outside of these. That was kind of how I thought about it. So I needed to go for some versatility. I even just to hint a little where this is going, maybe even like blending factored in a little bit. I just needed some options. So that factored in as well.
I did that also. So I went for versatile and tried to make things in a similar way of saying if I only had 5 bottles available and these were the constraints, how would I build that? So yes, I did that. And also, this was a struggle for me, really. And if you're a listener to us, and Will, this, you've been trying to pin me down for quite a while when it comes to money and value. Because
you're tough to pin down. You're like a greased pig.
I tend to go for I'm a greased pig who likes higher end rums, apparently, that are expensive.
Have you ever seen a greased pig, Chase, by the way?
Is that a thing? Like, is that an actual thing?
Maybe this is just another one of those southern things. I discover. Oh wait, that's just the South.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I'm here in the South, but no, in Miami, the closest
Florida,
I would get to
Florida is its own universe.
Yeah, that's true. The closest I get to a full pig is cooked in a cajachina, they call it down here, which is like the mojo pork.
Yeah, I think I'd rather attend
that's
that
much better.
than a greased pig, Chase.
Yeah, you can have some good rum with that. So anyways, yes, that was a little bit more of a challenge, but I did find what I think are rums in my list that you can sip as well as mix. So that was kind of an additional point for me was, can I be happy with these, sipping them neat, and knowing that, yes, there are better rums out there that cost more money, but this was the self-imposed restriction. So
we got a budget for this one.
Yeah, speaking of budget, how did you verify your pricing on this?
I thought about price that they are typically available to me in my market, but I also, I used Google. I looked at stores that come up like Benny's and Astor Wines and places like that. And there were a couple. There's one rum in particular that I don't know anyone around me who sells it for less than $30, but it is available for under $30 in some places. So I got it on my list.
Okay, that qualifies.
How did you do it?
I did it similar. So I did. The first thing I did is I actually went to 3 local stores near me.
Oh, wow.
Just to look at and research, not only because I hadn't been to them in a while, but also as part of the research for this, and just to see, because I know that especially mom and pop stores or smaller places, man, prices swing wildly sometimes. You can see, easily $5 difference in a bottle sometimes with those. So I wanted to just see what that was like. And then ultimately I went back like you did to the bigger sites. So Total Wine is a big, huge chain down by us and huge selection. So I used them online. Like you said, Astor, but I used Pikes. I still like Pikes better. I think the selection is just as good, if not better. And I like the pricing better sometimes too.
I mean, I like Pikes because they'll ship to me and Astor won't.
Right,
so there's that.
Right. And then I also, which you may not have done, Will, I used the Whiskey Exchange.
Oh, okay.
Because
so looking for UK pricing too.
I tried to, broaden my horizons just a little bit for those outside of the U.S. to see how this would apply. I know, availability is also a problem with some of that, but I tried to make a list that I thought was fairly widely available. Even outside the U.S. in most cases, and then hopefully the pricing aligns there for the most part. So I did the best I could.
I appreciate the dedication and the effort. I mean, going to 3 separate stores, checking multiple websites, you took this seriously.
I did. When you give me a restriction, Will, under 30, I went under 30. Like,
Good.
I made sure.
It's nice to see that I've whipped you into shape a little bit.
I don't want to hear any of your shit.
After 51 episodes together. Well, I think that's enough kind of talking about the qualifications and everything. Let's just start with our picks.
Let's do it.
And I'm throwing it over to you first, actually, to kick us off.
Okay. So my list starts out with one that maybe I don't think you might expect.
Okay.
And also, before we get to our list, do we think we're going to have any crossover here? I'm thinking I tried really hard not to. So
I did too.
I'm going to say zero crossover.
I know you a little bit, and so I tried to go away from stuff. But I also think we have some differing opinions with these. Yeah. Like some that I went to right away, I was like, John won't pick this. So so I'm going to agree. I don't think we're going to have any crossover.
All right. So my first one, Bourbon Court 8.
Wait, where are you getting that under $30, man?
I researched this extensively. Bourbon Court 8 is under $30. I found it mostly at like 25.
Really?
Yes.
I'm just typing this into
Please
Google.
do while I'm talking.
Yeah.
So I don't think this will surprise many people because I think this is a well-known rum that is a good rum.
Oh, damn, you're right. Total Wine, $29.99.
Yes, and I saw it for 25 at some other places.
All right. Okay.
I do think this one gets lost in the shuffle somewhat. But that said, I think it's a mainstay and one that I think shouldn't be forgotten because of its quality and its uniqueness. So to me, Bourbon Court 8 is a really versatile spirit. You can enjoy it neat. You can find many uses for it in the bar, I think. We've talked about this in our episode on Bourbon Court before, but it's a cane juice product.
I was about to ask, are you using this for your cane juice rum?
I mean, why wouldn't I?
Well, I just didn't know you might want another one. I think the only reason I asked that is because to me, even though those rums are made from cane juice, they don't scream cane juice.
They don't. And that was kind of the point here is that even though it's a cane juice rum, it's not an agricole, nor does it really bring you that agricole type of profile.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it tastes far closer to what a molasses-based rum kind of tastes like, with maybe a little bit of some of the hints of the fresh cane juice profile lingering in the background. And you know what's a nice thing? It's 43% ABV. Yeah. Which I always appreciate. And while I do very much like the Bourbon Court 15, I think the Bourbon Court 8 stands out as excellent, really, for what it's bringing and the price that you can get it for. And for that reason, I think this should be a staple in really every connoisseur's bar and a really unique rum that belongs in this list.
Yeah, I get this pick. I won't quibble with it. For me, that rum has always... There's this little note I get from it that it's just not my favorite. And the way I describe it is going to make it sound more negative than it actually is, but it's almost like kind of like a singed plastic kind of note to it.
Yeah.
And it just bugs me a little bit. And so that's why that rum has never been one that like I go back to again and again. Like I still have a bottle in my bar downstairs right now. But not what I would pick for this assignment, but I respect the decision. It is, it's after all, it's a key rum of the world, according to Lance's Key Rum series.
That's right.
I agree it belongs there.
All right, so let's move on to your first pick.
All right, my first pick is, it's actually a rum I've never talked about on this show before. And it's one that kind of is like kind of odd and off to the side of all the rums that come from this place. And it's kind of like the freaky little sibling or something. I don't know, but it's what do you think? You know what this is?
I think I might, and I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping we
What do you
we
think
have,
it is? Well, I won't,
so
because
is it a Barbados rum?
It is, yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Okay, so this is RL Seal's 10-year rum.
Hey, okay. No, we're okay.
It's different. Okay, good. So as soon as we started this, I knew it was inevitable that I would choose something from Foursquare that's in that $20 to just under $30 range.
Yep.
Because I've said this before, I think they do that range right there. Yep. Like I think among, nerdy rum circles, that's not the range that gets talked about the most. What gets talked about the most is like the ECS series and stuff like that.
Of course, right.
Although Doorleys gets talked about all the time.
Yep.
But anyway, I think they do that $20 to $30 range, like the amount of flavor you get for the low cost. They do it probably better than anyone else right now, I think. I think the two picks that get talked about the most here are Doorleys XO and Doorleys 12.
12-year. Mm-hmm.
I really like Doorleys 12, but in going back and comparing these a little bit, the 10-year, first of all, you can get it around $26. Like, it varies. It's somewhere in that 25 to 28 to 29 range. Like a lot of Foursquare products, blend of pot and column still. As far as I can tell, no unconventional cask types used in the blend. Doorleys 12 has that little bit of the blend that's aged in Madeira casks. Mm-hmm. Doorleys XO has Oloroso sherry cask involved. This rum is also, in the US, it's still sold at 43% ABV. I don't know if that's changing or not. I know in the UK and EU now it's sold at 46%, which I'd love to be able to have this at 46%, but just getting it at 43% is nice. And to me, it's slightly less woody than Doorleys 12. And it's significantly more flavorful than Doorleys XO is. Actually, as much as I see Doorleys XO get recommended a lot, I've never really loved it that much. It's just a little one note to me personally. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but Doorleys 12 for a long time has been my go-to, and this one just more recently, I think kind of the wacky bottle turned me off a little
bottle.
bit.
Yeah.
And
it's a little,
you and I disagree about bottles a lot. I was curious to get your opinion on that bottle. It's supposed to look like a leather flask of old, apparently. To me, it reminds me of that Salvador Dali painting, The Persistence of
Time or whatever
time.
it is.
Is it Persistence of Time or Persistence of Memory?
Maybe, yeah.
The one with the melting clocks.
The clock, yeah.
Because it looks like a bottle that's melting to me. And it's also like another thing I hadn't noticed about it until I was really just kind of analyzing it more is the bottle is pitch black dark, to the point that even if you hold it up to like a window or light or something, you cannot see anything inside the bottle. So you cannot tell how much is left in there, which is always a little bit maddening to me. But that said, it's just, to me, it's such a great easy drinker. There really is a lot of flavor in there for the price, and it has this amazing mouthfeel. It's like so creamy, and just for the price, I just think it's a wonderful rum. And I'm actually, I still haven't gotten the new 12-year that I've been seeing more over here in the US now. I
just saw it this weekend, actually, finally.
It's a significant step up. It's almost double the price. So I'm kind of interested to try that, but for now, I just think that rum, when it comes to Barbados rum and what it is, it's tough for me to think of one in that price range that I like better. And so I'm really happy to have it in my bar, even if the bottle is a little ridiculous. It's a fun talking point, at least I guess.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I will go with you on that. In my bottle,
I mean, ridiculous in a positive way. It's playful.
Maybe.
It's fun. It's not necessarily my style, but it's
postmodern in a weird way, right? I don't know. It's not my favorite in terms of the bottle design for some reason. I do appreciate how unique it is and how they went really off the normal with it, and it does stick out, of course, and people do ask about it. Anyhow, so this is my thoughts on that pick. It's a good pick. I own this bottle, and I appreciate this bottle very much, but I'm also going to tell you, I think you're wrong.
But it sounds like you have a Barbados pick in this price range that you think is better.
Well, okay. Half of that sentence is true. Mm-hmm. So let me tell you first before I move to mine, because I'll jump up my Barbados picks here so we can talk about it. But first of all, I still think you're wrong. I think Doorleys 12 is better. I did a recent comparison of both of these because I own them both, and I felt like the Seals is good. Like you said, there's definitely a more straight, ex-bourbon cask type of profile to it, and the Doorleys 12 has something else there with the finish. But I just find the Doorly's 12 is more pleasurable for sipping. I find it's more complex. Like you said, you thought the Seals was more, and maybe sometimes it just comes down to, that night or whatever. But consistently, I've picked the Doorly's 12 over the Seals for whatever reason in this price range.
I will say, I want to make one little comment here. This is a small Foursquare complaint, and I know this is something I feel like Richard kind of revels in this. Foursquare and its products need a website. There needs to be like a single source of truth in terms of like...
There's not a website?
No, there's not a website. There's not a Foursquare website. There's not a Doorly's website. There's not an RL Seals website. And it's not the website that I want. I just want a single source of accurate information about each bottle, because every time when I want to go back and make sure like, it's XO that has sherry and it's Doorly's 12 that has Madeira, you end up having to read like 6 different review sites, and like the information is always like slightly inconsistent between them, or sometimes it's dated, and it's just like I want the single source of truth, for the company that's all about transparency and is very transparent. Just like make it easy for me to like get the details quickly when I need them. That's my one small complaint.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I would say that you can, of course, if you're on Facebook, go straight to the source, and Richard Seal will answer you anytime you have a question, because he is really, really good about that. But you're right, as a repository, obviously, that would be super valuable. And so Richard, get on it. We need it.
All right. So with that said, is your pick then Doorly's 12?
No, it is not. No,
okay.
It is not.
Do you even have a Barbados pick?
I do. And guess what?
What?
It's from Foursquare Distillery. This is I'm gonna give you the reveal here. I could have easily picked Doorly's 12 here, and I think I would have been justified to do so based on our conversation. But instead, I went with one that isn't talked about quite as much as this, and it's not the RL Seals 10-year either. It's Old Brigand Black Label Superior.
Interesting. You know what?
This?
Can I admit to you that I've never had that bottle before, and I saw it in Total Wine recently, because it was the first place I'd ever seen it in the Nashville area, and I was like, I'll have to try that sometime, but I still haven't. I knew it was a Foursquare product. And also, did you know that the RL Seal bottle, it has that little metal circle in it, and that has the Old Brigand guy. His face is on that little circle.
No, I never noticed that detail. That's a good one. So yeah, there's some similarity here. So we're kind of lining up a little bit. It's also a pot column blend, like most of Foursquare rums are. But unlike the RL Seals and the Doorly's, there's no age statement on this. So that, and it sticks to the 40% ABV. Although I heard somewhat recently that there was a bump to 43% ABV in Old Brigand. I just haven't seen it on any store shelves yet. So I saw Richard make a comment saying, no, it's getting the bump to 43.
I think it sounds like that's almost becoming like standard for a lot of their stuff, which I think is a great trend that I'd like to see from more producers.
Yeah. So anyway, it's at 40%, no age statement. I think it's a blend of 5 years-ish, 3 to 5 years, something like that. But anyhow, the no age statement and the 40% ABV are what's different here. But for $18 a bottle, I have to say, this is a really good Barbados rum, and it might be the best value of them all.
Really?
So well, when I say really good, look, the ECS series obviously is in a different league. And the Doorly's 12, I still think I enjoy more.
Sure.
So again, going back to that best and favorite conversation, this is not my best and favorite. But again, at a value of roughly $18, if you have a friend who has yet to jump into any Barbados rum, this is a great place to start for a cheap ticket price to get in on this. And you really do get a sense of what the Barbados rum from Foursquare Distillery can do. It's a great option.
So what you're telling me then is this is essentially a pick you made for the sake of the show, in that you could have chosen Doorly's 12, which you like better, and it is under $30, but this one is under $20, and it's one that you think more people should know about.
Right. That's a great encapsulation. And what I'm saying here is I'm also trying, we talk a lot about Doorly's 12 already. So I wanted to kind of jump into some things that I've tried. I'll say full disclosure, I don't own a bottle of it, but I have had at least twice. I've tried this rum. And again, I'm like, this is, it's Foursquare rum. It's good.
And yet somehow you still haven't bought a bottle?
I haven't bought a bottle yet because I already have so much of it, and I need to drink some more. I need some help. Anybody who's in Miami area, you need to drink some Barbados Foursquare rum. Come hit me up. So anyway, there's one thing I did want to say, and you kind of mentioned it. Funny enough, we did do a little bit of similar thinking here, and that's the piratey style of marketing on this label. I'm not a super fan of.
Same.
The old brigand eye patch guy. The whole feel of it, like. I don't really care about that, but I get that it's going to lead some people who are less familiar with that and more familiar with rum as being, as much as we hate to say it, that they think of rum in that way.
Right.
People who are less in the hobby or connoisseurs. So, I understand how it's bringing some people in. But yeah, if you have someone who's looking to get introduced to Barbados rum and Foursquare rum, there really is a fantastic option here, and it shouldn't be forgotten among the many others that are available.
Well said. All right, so should we move on? You want to hear my next pick?
Let's do it.
So this is what ended up being my only Jamaican rum pick. I very sadly had to sacrifice the other because my number one priority was I wanted to get both. Well, not my number one priority, but I really wanted to have both Hampton and Worthy Park represented in my little 5-bottle budget bar. But unfortunately, I could only pick one. And as I've said before, my favorite Jamaican distillery is Hampton. So I went with an absolute classic. This isn't one that is going to be new to anyone, but it's just if I'm building, my under $30 bar, I have to have this bottle in it. And it's right at the line. It's generally about $29.
Oh, I know what this is.
It's Smith & Cross.
What?
So,
wait, what? Are you serious?
What did you think I was going to say?
Rumfire.
Oh, no. I did think about Rumfire.
Oh, Smith & Cross.
I love Rumfire. Yeah, Smith & Cross. So it contains rum from Hampton. It is not a product made by Hampton specifically. But there's no age statement. Multiple sources say it's generally a blend between 6 months and 3 years. It's a product of the distributor House Alpens. They presumably sourced the rum from Ian Shear. I don't have 100% factual confirmation of that. And they use the traditional designations of plumber and Wedderburn to describe the rums within the blend. Plumber meaning ester count between 150 to 200, and Wedderburn meaning ester count between 200 to 300. Bottled at 57% ABV. So this is a big, bold, funky rum from Jamaica. It's wonderful. I think it's really an introduction for a lot of people into what a funky Jamaican rum is, because it's so prevalent. It's used in so many bars. It has its own little cult following and everything. It's just such a versatile rum. Like, you can make great cocktails with it. I can have this rum on its own, and I think it's great. It may be, a little bit harsh. I might throw an ice cube in there, maybe proof it down a little bit. But this was the other thing about this challenge is so many of the rums available in here are either going to be 40%, 43%. I needed some beef, I needed some power in my bar. Yeah. Even if I'm not always going to drink these by themselves, you can blend them with the lower ABV products and get something, kind of in the middle. You could add a little bit of water and proof it down. So again, I need some versatility. I need some big, funky Jamaican rum in there. So I went with Smith & Cross. And the other one I was going to include actually was a white overproof, and I was going to include rum bar overproof. I that's always been one that I liked, but after spending a few days with Zan in Charleston and going around to different bars that serve rum bar and getting some really great rum bar cocktails made for me, I wanted to edge it in there, but unfortunately I can only choose one, so I'm going to go with Smith & Cross here.
I'm not surprised by this, and in fact I did consider it, and then I was like, Will's going to pick that. So I wanted to give you an aside though. I know you are on Reddit sometimes. Did you happen to see the Reddit thread that talks about Smith & Cross? And there was somebody that was asking like, hey, I need to buy either Appleton or Smith & Cross. Which one do I buy?
I think I did see that recently.
Did you see? So I was really interested in this because many of the answers were like, oh my God, Smith & Cross is going to melt your face off. And I was like, what?
I think I know where you're going with. And you mean from like a funk standpoint?
Yes. Yeah. Like way funky.
Again, this is one of those things. I think we talked about this on a recent episode maybe, where I almost don't even like describing something as funky, even though like I literally just did, so I'm already a hypocrite. But just because I think the way people interpret and experience that is really different, and the way Smith and Cross is funky is actually completely different in a lot of ways from like the way Rum Bar Overproof or Rumfire are funky, even though I mean Rumfire is from the same distillery, but I think if you're someone who is new to funkier rums, like let's say the closest to a funky rum you've ever had is Appleton, for example.
Then this one's
Then this one really will possibly melt your face off. It's like if you're new to it, it is a wallop of that overripe banana, funky pineapple kind of blast in the face, and especially at 57%, which if you're not accustomed to drinking stuff in that range, it really is like a shock to the system the first time you have it. I will say I think it's one of those rums that like as you get deeper into funky rum, like if you go beyond that and then you come back to it, it's remarkable like how much more like tame and even kind of like refined it feels in a way. Like actually I was at a bar not too long ago, and the bartender gave me and the guy I was with, he knew we were into rum. He poured us a shot and handed it to us, and like I knew it was Jamaican. He didn't tell us what it was, and I took a sip of it and I was like, this is like way too refined and just easy to drink than Smith and Cross, and it was Smith and Cross. It really. I just think the more you drink rum, the more that one is almost like a laid back sipper almost. Sometimes it's wild how that happens, but I know it's not breaking news, but this is one where I just I gotta have this.
I mean it deserves to be there, absolutely, and for the price again. That price of under $30, it's a really fantastic bottle to have.
If Stolen Overproof were still around, it would give it a run for its money. That was another Hampton product. I think it was all 6-year-old rum in that, if I'm not mistaken. But it was like absurdly underpriced for whatever it was, and because it was in the 375 ml bottles, it was like $17.99. It was awesome, but I think that's pretty much mostly dried up now. So Smith and Cross is the way to go. But where did you go next?
Moving on to mine, next pick here. I mentioned that I picked up a rum on my recent trip to Europe, and I picked that rum up because A, the price was right.
Okay.
B, it's freaking great.
Okay.
And C, it's not at all available in the United States of America.
See, I would have guessed that this was going to be like the way you described it. The first place my mind goes is Rum Agricole, but I know you already did a cane juice, and it sounded like that was your only cane juice. So now I'm really intrigued. I think I might know what this is. Is this something that is not allowed to be purchased in the U.S.?
That is correct.
Okay.
So yes, but I think most people will get it by now. But before I say what it is, I want to say I'm going to cheat just a bit and have a substitute choice for the USA also, since this one is not available in the USA. So I'll start with my choice here. It's Havana Club 3.
Okay.
And Havana Club 3 from Cuba. This is the Cuban version, not the Bacardi Puerto Rican made one. And this is available for just under $30 or the equivalent of for the 750 ml. Sometimes you see the 1 liter bottle as well, which is a little bit more. But, it's a 3-year-old filtered rum made in Cuba. And in my mind, this is the quintessential rum to experience for a true daiquiri or mojito, and what those should really taste like, which it's just hard to beat that. And if I could, I would have an endless supply of this on hand.
I will say a friend of mine in Nashville recently got some Havana Club 3 by way of Canada, and he did a little daiquiri face-off between that. And also, I've been meaning to mention this, but a few years back, there was a rum that was very, very popular as a daiquiri rum called Caña Brava. That is, it comes from Panama, and then it disappeared for several years. It was out of production.
Right.
As I understand it, it's back because I just discovered it here in Nashville again, as did my friend who has the Havana Club 3-year. And I was a little surprised. It's a similar. It's made by it's a Don Pancho product who literally used to make rum for Havana Club in Cuba, and it's 3 years filtered, so going for the same thing. I bought a bottle. It was $35, which I was like, this feels kind of expensive for what it is. And I honestly have to say I was super disappointed.
Really?
Not that it was bad. It was just totally unremarkable. And my buddy who has the Havana Club 3-star did a daiquiri face-off. and he said it was the Havana Club no contest. So I haven't done the back-to-back comparison yet, but yeah, sorry, it just thought of that. And I know some people listening, I'm interested if you had Caña Brava before it disappeared, because I didn't try it before it disappeared. I'm just curious if you think the new one is the same as the old one. I'd be curious to know. So send us an email, host@rumcast.com. Let me know. Please continue, though.
That's been something I've been trying to source for a while, but I'm glad that you took the dive and could give me the information on the new one, so I don't need to try.
That's just one. That's just one person's opinion. So
yeah, I trust your opinion. Most of the time.
Except on RL Seal 10 versus Doily 12.
You're allowed to be wrong every now and then. It's okay. So Havana Club 3, I don't know what they're sprinkling in that stuff, but man, it's magic.
That makes it sound like there's something shady going on with it. So I don't think you were trying to hint at that. But yeah.
No. I don't think that's happening. But whatever it is that they're doing there with it, it's really, really fantastic product. If you were in the United States and you leave the United States, do not leave without getting a bottle of this. If you're a rum fan, you will thank me later. So now, okay, I mentioned I'm cheating a little bit because I just didn't think it was fair for our U.S. audience to not have a substitute.
So are you edging in a sixth pick here?
Maybe I am.
You open this by being like, I really followed the rules. I abided by everything. I'm on my best behavior now, and now you're already just throwing all of that out the window.
I meant that I'm following the rules, the parameters that we were given, and that this one just felt like, for our fans, the few that are out there, that I thought I had to have, a USA substitute here. But I need to explain a little bit, because the thing is, as you pointed out rightly, there really isn't a good USA substitute for Havana Club 3.
There's not, I would say there's not like a 1-to-1 substitute. Right. I will say, talking about Reddit, there is a reviewer on Reddit. I cannot remember their username right now, but they are a very big advocate of Selvaray White as a substitute for Havana Club, and that's another Don Pancho product.
Yeah,
I know we hear Selvaray, we think of Bruno Mars, of course, first. Yes. But yeah, it's a Don Pancho product. I haven't bought it yet. I think I will admit, just the fact that it's a celebrity brand, I have a prejudice against that to a degree that is unfair. I should probably give it a fair chance, but I just want to throw that out there. I'm curious to hear other people's thoughts on that.
It's funny you mentioned that. I also do not like that bottle.
Oh, really?
I
would have guessed it was one that you liked. It looks like it's got the John Gullah style. For me, it's just too overdone.
Ostentatious would be the right word for that.
I'm glad we got to include that word on the
Yes.
podcast.
So, all right. Anyway, back to this. You said it perfectly. I actually had that in my notes. It's not a 1-to-1 substitute. So thank you for being on the same page there. But there's something about this rum that is available in the United States that is similar in certain ways and different in others. Okay. Because this is an aged rum. Well, but both are aged, actually, Havana Club 3. But this one's 7 years aged. And it is a Puerto Rican rum.
Okay.
But I'm putting it in here because for its price, I just think it's freaking fantastic and is not getting enough attention. This is Don Q7. Yeah.
Right.
The Don Q7 is really fucking good.
It is good.
Really good.
It was on my short list.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I won't spend a lot of time talking about it since I'm breaking the rules by pushing it in here.
Yeah.
But it's not the same, like I said, as a mixer for a daiquiri or mojito or anything, but for a sipping rum that can also be used in a Cuba Libre or a bunch of other things. Man, this one needs to be pushed more. For me, this is... this may be a hot take, I don't know, but this is better than the Gran Añejo or the Gran Reserva, the one that's like twice as expensive.
More than twice. I got Don Q7 for 28 recently. I think the Gran Añejo is like 64.
52? Okay.
Oh,
okay.
I'm seeing it for 64 up here.
Okay.
I haven't had that one in a while. I'd have to revisit before making that judgment, but I'll at least agree that Don Q7 is underrated, and you can make a really great daiquiri or mojito with it. I would say it's going to have that like aged
right, but it's not the traditional.
Right. So yeah, it's not going to be like the go-to classic daiquiri rum, but you could make a really tasty daiquiri with it.
So all right. Anyways, that was my point. Was I would rather have 2 bottles of Don Q7 than 1 bottle of the Don Q Gran Añejo.
All right.
I really like it that much more. I think it's just hitting the sweet spot. But by the way, that doesn't mean the Gran Añejo Don Q is bad. I think it's actually a very good product as well. I'm just saying that
it's just
this
the value
Don Q7,
equation.
The value is there, and it is really great. So pick this bottle up. By the way, yes, bottle design. This one is really like hits me where I live. This Don Q7 bottle is like, I want to put it out on my bar and have it be like the face of anything I'm looking at, because it is just, for me, the perfect representation of a bottle of a premium rum.
I really like the bottle, like the glass. It has those like lines up and down the side.
It does.
Those are nice. It feels good.
Everything
in the hand.
about it is beautiful.
Just something about the label isn't.
Really? I love it. I
don't
love
know
it.
what
It
it is.
oozes quality to me.
I don't know. I think it's a little unfortunate that like they made like the Q gigantic, like just
That's
as like
their
QAnon
icon,
got super
right?
popular.
Oh God! Oh God! Oh man!
I see the big Q.
Did
and
not make that connection.
Yeah, that's just.
But thank you. Now I'll have to think about that every time I look at it.
Apologies in advance. But yeah, but I will say it's a great. There's something about the way a bottle feels in the hand. And that's one. It just like it's like the perfect circumference in some way.
Thank you for coming over to the dark side, Will. That's right. It does make a difference.
All right.
Let's move on. Yeah.
I'll make my next pick quick because I wanted to have a classic daiquiri rum in there.
Okay.
And I went with Denizen aged white rum. So this is, I'm actually kind of cheating here because this is a blend of Trinidad and Jamaica. So there's a Jamaica component, but
I was going to point that out. I'm glad.
Whatever. I'm stretching it just a little bit. The price on this is phenomenal for what you're getting. It's 18 to 23 bucks. I believe the stats on it, I'm just going to pull them up real quick. So it's Trinidad rum aged up to 5 years. That's column distilled. It's from Angostura. And then 3-year-old pot stilled Jamaica rum. Those are blended together. I don't know if they say the ratio of those. If I had to guess, I would think it's like at least 65 to 70 to maybe even 80% Trinidad rum. But that Jamaica just adds that little bit of flavor. But the Trinidad, the column still and everything adds that like crispness that you like in a daiquiri. Daiquiris really pop with it. And like I said, the price is just fantastic for what it is. So I wanted a simple go-to daiquiri rum in my lineup. And so that's what I went with.
Okay. I mean, that makes total sense. I actually did consider this on the short list, both the Denizen White and the 8-year, I think it was.
Merchant's Reserve.
Yes, the Merchant's Reserve.
I've yet to find that one under $30. Okay. If I did find it, I think that's a phenomenal rum. For again, it hits that sweet spot for me of it really is good in cocktails, but honestly, I can have it on its own, and I've got no complaints. So they're doing a great job, and yeah, I'll leave it at that for my daiquiri rum.
I'll do my next one here and also keep this one fairly short. But I think this one might surprise you a little, actually. So we're headed to St. Lucia now. And another bottle that I think brings a unique St. Lucia profile with it is very good quality, but at a really discounted price compared to many other St. Lucia rums on the market.
I'm curious to hear which one this is, because I am a big St. Lucia fan, but that price range to me is not where they shine.
So this is Bounty Gold.
Oh, okay. See, I'm pretty unfamiliar with the Bounty products. We don't really get them up here, and I just haven't gone out of my way to really dive into them.
Yeah, they're hard to find around here too, but you can locate them, and some online some online retailers will ship them to you as well. But so Bounty Gold is a full column distilled rum. It's lightly aged between 2 and 3 years, and run you an amazingly affordable $20.
Yeah,
which is great. I've talked a lot on our show about Admiral Rodney's, also fully column distilled from St. Lucia distillers. We both love the Chairman's Reserve line, and you could find a Chairman's Reserve, I think, for under 30 as well. It's right about that line.
Yeah, and I said that's not the price point where they shine, and to me that the standard aged Chairman's Reserve release is just the one that it's just. To me, having it on its own, it just doesn't have enough going on for me to really enjoy it like that. And there's other mixing rums that I kind of prefer there. Once you get the next tier of the Chairman's Reserve products, I think Legacy, they're great. I think in our year-end one, I said the Chairman's Reserve Legacy was most underrated. But I think that one's more 40 to 50 range. But so again, they do have some phenomenal affordable rums. But for me personally, under this, Of course, but I do need to. I need to experiment with Bounty when I can get my hands on it.
I think you'd be pleasantly surprised with it.
Right.
Again, it's not going to knock your socks off, and it's not going to compete with the Admiral Rodney's or the Chairman's Reserve Legacy that you mentioned. I don't think it can quite get there. But again, you're paying twice as little for it, if not more, at $20.
Right.
And I do think what it does is it brings the characteristic of those rums. This is a perfect introduction to me to what St. Lucia rum can be, especially, those that are uninitiated or haven't really got it. It's a steal at that price that it is. So I think this one is probably going to be more challenging to sip. Of all on my list, really, it's probably less of the sipper and better used in a mixing type of capacity. But I still think you could sip this one, and
when you say challenging, I'm interpreting that as you're not necessarily saying like it's overly harsh or like odd in any way. It's probably more just kind of like simple.
Right. Thank you. That's a good point of distinction. What I mean by that is challenging. It's I wouldn't say it's overly harsh, but it's less rounded.
Sure.
Than some of the other products that you may, have that we talk about all this time from St. Lucia on it. So it's less rounded and maybe a little bit less complex. So just, with that in mind, keep that in mind. But if you've got $20 to burn and you're looking for a good rum and maybe, you're in here in a shop with Bounty, you should pick it up. The Bounty Gold is a really great product. I think I would say maybe just like it's a paper towel namesake. Bounty rum should also be a quicker picker-upper if you happen to see it.
Oh my God. Wow.
Don't miss it. Yeah.
That needs like a little jingle behind it or something.
It's not quilted, but it is a quicker picker-upper.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's my fourth pick there, and I think it's a good one.
All right. I'm going to move on to what to me was the most challenging of this exercise, and that was finding the cane juice rum in this price range that I wanted to feature, because for me, almost all of the cane juice rums that I really like enthusiastically enjoy are just like a little bit pricier. Like I'd love to have like Nissan Blanc or something like that, or even GM Blanc and stuff, but I just can't find where they're being sold for under $30. So I felt it wouldn't be true to the challenge to do that. But I wanted to have an unaged rum agricole in here. That's just a style of rum that I really like. And on the right day, it just like it hits perfectly. So I wanted something from that style. So what I went with was Rum Clement Blanc, which is, their standard 40% ABV, unaged rum agricole. It's from Martinique. It's checks all the agricole boxes you want. The only reason I don't sound so enthusiastic is just because there are others that I prefer. This one though, you can get usually in like the 26 to 30 range. There are some places you'll find where it's over $30, but you can definitely find it for under. I think I even saw it at Total Wine for like $22 or something, like really inexpensive. So it's clean, it's pleasant, it's not as in your face as a lot of other agricoles, which is like I sometimes find it like a little bit boring, but in terms of just like I want that style represented in my bar, and so if this is the best I can get, I'm not going to complain about it. I wish I could spend a few more dollars, but I do think this is absolutely serviceable. You can have it on its own. You can make a little tea punch. You can make a daiquiri with it. You can blend it with other stuff. It's going to provide that fresh cane, brightness, grassiness, and everything. It's just not going to be as to me, it's a little less complex than the Nissans, the GMs of the world, but that's what I'm going with there.
I for some reason, Clement is not my favorite of the agricoles.
It's not mine either, and I will say the Con Bleu I think is a significant step up from this one,
which I have not tried.
Unfortunately, it's over $30, so for this challenge, unacceptable.
I think it's a good pick, though, because I agree with you that style really should be represented. And this is where I likewise had the challenge. So my number 5, I was trying to figure out, gosh, do I go with an unaged agricole here? Or do I go with another unaged rum? If I had 6, I would include the unaged agricole and the one I'm about to tell you. But I think my preference would be, although it is harder to find for an unaged agricole, the St. James Imperial Blanc. Have you had this? No,
so St. James is one of those that I am unfamiliar with because it's just not. I've tasted St. James at some point, but only one time, and just a small amount, so not really enough to have like a fully fledged opinion on it. But I do know that theirs are like super affordable. I think that bottle is like $18 or something like that.
Yep.
So
it's technically, this is not my pick, so I'm gonna just really quickly gloss over it.
Wait, you're squeezing in another one that is not technically your pick? Wait, you're gonna end up with like 9 things at this. What are you doing?
Nope. I'm commenting on your pick and saying that you would be well to consider whether it's Clement or St. James as your pick for an unaged agricole.
It's on my list, and even as I was putting this together, I was like, I really need to compare those so I can have a more informed take here. But for the sake of this, I'm going to go with what I know, which is the
makes sense.
Blanc. Yeah,
and I can respect that, obviously. Yeah, if you have the St. James Imperial Blanc in your area, I would urge you to do the same thing as Will and try to pick up a bottle of that for cheap, because it is I think a standout agricole rum, similar in certain ways to the issues of it's 40% ABV. It might be a little less complex than some of the others, but still really, really good stuff. I particularly like the nose. Yeah,
real quickly, another one I considered here that I do think is really good and is in this price range is actually Jeremy Rums Blanc from Louisiana that I was telling you about. I sat in with the distiller in Charleston at the judging. They're doing a really lovely job with that. It's not agricole, but it is 100% Louisiana cane juice. I don't know what the exact price point is, but I do believe it's going to be in that $20 to $30 range. That was kind of like their goal in creating it, and it's super approachable. And so that's one that's my eye is on that as well. It honestly probably could have been a coin flip between those two.
I haven't had that obviously yet. It's not available down by me, but we're going to see each other in person soon. So maybe you'll be willing to share with me your Jeremy.
You're just slinging the ad slogans here. This is just free marketing ideas.
Yep, that's what we do as part of the podcast. We provide those free marketing ideas to everybody. Yeah, no, it sounds really interesting. I would like to try that. So hopefully I'll get a chance to try that one soon. So really quickly, just to round this out, because we already kind of mentioned it in passing. My number 5 was Rumfire is Rumfire from Hampton Distillery. You mentioned it already. I needed an unaged. So I was deciding between the unaged agricole and this one.
And just to remind everyone, the Havana Club does not count as unaged, even though it's clear because it's aged for 3 years and filtered.
Yes.
Even though you would use it, like a lot of similar contexts, you might use an actual unaged rum, but
it's easy to make the mistake, and I think even I made the mistake quickly of saying it was unaged, but quickly caught myself because you do think of it in that category in a way, like you said. But Rumfire is an actual unaged rum, 63% ABV, so bring in the beef, like you said. I needed something that was going to do that. The best way I've heard somebody describe this is that this can be like salt on any drink
like
you
seasoning,
want. You sprinkle that shit into everything and it's going to make it better. And honestly, if you can get to it, like we were talking about earlier, if your palate will allow, you can sip this and really enjoy it. I would not recommend too much, but or maybe trying to find a way, get an ice cube, water it down a little bit, because that 63% is powerful, and this one is powerful. But it really just brings everything I want in that overproof Jamaican estery rum that I think is just fantastic.
It's what I call a room filler, in that when you open the bottle, the room smells like the bottle. It's wonderful.
It does. It fills the glass and it fills the room. You're right. And it's hard to beat at, I see it for roughly $26 to $28. Yeah. I mean, how can
was
you
it
do
a tough
better?
Choice for you deciding between that and I call them like the holy trinity of Jamaican overproof. So I always think of them together. It's Rumfire, it's Ray and Nephew, which is from J. Ray and Nephew's New Yarmouth distillery, and then you have Rum Bar Overproof, which is from Worthy Park. How did you make that decision?
Well, so one thing I need to do is I really need to sit down with all 3 of those again at some point and just kind of go through them. And I haven't done that recently. The reasons I kind of picked Rumfire over this one, let me start actually by saying Rum Bar, I think, has come a long way. And I do think it does actually compete with Rumfire and Ray. Ray is the classic. I think, I enjoy a Ray and Ting every now and then, and a Rumfire and Ting can work just as well too. Yeah. But if there's just, I don't know, something about Rumfire that I was mentioning that you can put it into some other cocktails and mixes and it just livens it up. And I don't know that I've found quite the same impact with using Ray and rum bar, although I haven't done it much.
I definitely, they're all super, super flavorful. But in terms of just like sheer brute force of flavor,
Right.
I think Rumfire is the leader. And then I would put Rum Bar Overproof and then Ray and Nephew.
Yeah.
The tough thing for me with comparing these is I feel like you really need to compare them in drinks in addition to comparing them on their own. Yep. And that's kind of a pain if you're just doing it at home by yourself and you're not an actual bartender. I know, just like I was saying, like going around to different bars with Zan in Charleston and like having actual bartenders make me Rum Bar Overproof drinks. I was like, wow, these are, and like I can't figure out, like, I can make a daiquiri at home and use the exact same like ratios and everything else as a bartender at a bar. Mine never taste as good as the ones at the bar. I don't know why, but like, yeah, even just having like a rum bar daiquiri at a bar, I was like, God, this is so much. And I was taking into account, you know, like I'm with fun people, I'm in a fun place and everything. Right. Maybe that's influencing it some, but I just, in the hands of the right person, they can do stuff with those rums that I am not as good at doing. And you know, just having more rum bar in those settings, like it was rising in my mind.
So maybe having a blunter instrument like Rumfire at your home disposal might help you to, in a weird way, if thinking about it in that way, to craft cocktails that you can get more out of it.
Maybe.
So we can be, I don't know. I mean, that could be totally wrong, but maybe that's one reason. For me, it was looking at the three of those and saying, which one do I really want? If I have to have 5 on a deserted island, it's probably Rumfire.
Yeah. Well, I won't fault you for that. It's always been kind of my favorite out of those. So can I end things with a rum that's even more high octane?
Yes. So wait, what? That's
yeah,
Be
exactly.
hard to do. Okay.
How much more high octane can you get than 63% ABV?
Well, I can guess, but go ahead. I want to hear from you.
Yeah. So this last one is another one that I think is probably not surprising. It's a rum that we've discussed on this podcast before. People know about it. I do have apologies to our listeners outside the U.S. because I know this is not readily available. But it's Hamilton 151. 75% ABV, so quite a step up from the 63%. But the thing that continuously amazes me about this rum is how drinkable it. And now I'm not saying I'm pouring like a glass of it neat all the time and just swinging it back, but if you pour it neat to taste and just taste it, it's not going to like, you know, melt the skin off. Well, you don't have skin in your mouth, but it's not going to melt, you know, the roof of your mouth or like set it on fire.
Your tonsils won't fall off. Gotcha.
Exactly. It's remarkably drinkable at that proof. But the good thing about it is it's really great when blended in small quantities with other rums. And what this is, by the way, it's all rum sourced from Demerara distillers in Guyana. The blend contains rum up to 5 years. I actually don't know if the info is available in terms of which stills the various components came from, but it does taste like to me that there's some small amount from the wooden stills there, either the Port Morant or Versailles or maybe both. It's really just awesome. Like you get this like really nice fruitiness, like a little bit of that smoky earthiness quality that DDL is really known for. Yeah. And again, you can just, you can proof it down on your own if you want. You can use it in drinks. You can mix it with other rums in really fun ways. And it's usually, in some places, it's going to be over $30. Not everywhere. I know Benny's online has it for $27.99. Astor has it at $29 right now. And, I thought about going with the Hamilton 86, which essentially is the same rum, just proof down. But I thought I need some versatility in this bar, so I'll just go with the highest proof possible, and that just gives me a little bit more control over it. So I love that rum. I always try to have it on hand, and at the price point, I think it's really tough to beat. And I really just wanted to get a Demerara rum in there as well, because I just love that flavor profile, and it's so unique, and I need it. I want it.
I'm glad you did. Yeah, I'm glad you put it in. I love Guyanese rum as well, but I find it harder to find ones that I can put in my bar for sipping that are unaltered, no additives. It's harder to
find. Which this one
nowadays.
is.
Right.
But
so that's good.
We've talked about that before. It's a challenge.
Yeah. Yep. I did consider the Hamilton Florida Rum Society blend.
Oh yeah,
which is really good, and I think though
Jamaica
it's right
and
over
Demerara.
30. Yeah. I think it's like $32, so it didn't qualify. But I can see how the Hamilton 151, especially with your other picks, just marries well with all of that to give you so many options. And it's a fantastic value as well, obviously, for what you get in that bottle.
I kind of want to do a little experiment blending that with the RL Seal RL Seal 10. Maybe like a, maybe like an 80-20 ratio or something like that. Yeah. I'm really interested to see how those can play together.
Well, why not? Why stop there? Why not just throw in some rum fire too?
Well, I was thinking, sticking with my 5 bottles. So I think Smith and Cross in there as well. And then you have that Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, kind of like a classic, that would be interesting. A classic pairing.
That would be interesting to put all 5 of our picks together. I don't know that would be any good. But interesting. Yes.
Yeah, I think the Denizen White in my lineup would kind of take a beating. But that might be kind of like, it depends what we're going for, but that could be a whole other episode for discussion. But
yeah,
I think we've ended up with some good places. I'm really curious to hear, if you're listening, what your picks would be in this. And maybe, John, we can put a post out there that like has our lineups and just have people vote on like which one so they think is better.
So that we can definitively see that I will beat you in my picks. Exactly. Rather than just guessing.
If it helps you to imagine, that being the result, if that is going to make you feel better on this Sunday, then I'll let you have it for now. But
I think we should totally do that. But with the caveat that we have to put how much our total came to. So of the 5 rums, what was the total price? Because I think I beat you.
Okay, well, you did, but that wasn't part of the equation. Technically, I think yours is a little less expensive than mine, but
I'm only saying just, hey, if I get more votes than you and I spent less money, dude, that doesn't look good for you.
Well, I would say the only chance you have of getting more votes is because you spent less money.
Wow. Wow. You know what? I'm just for that. I'm gonna make sure my wife votes for me.
All right. I'll let you have the extra help. I think you might need it. Like I was saying, let us know what your picks would be. Send us an email, host@rumcast.com. That's HOST@rumcast.com. Or John, they can find us on social media. Where are we again?
We're everywhere and everything and everywhere all at once. For those of you who are,
I've heard that's supposed to be good.
Yep, I'm very interested to go see it. I haven't seen it yet, but anyway, yes, we are all over the place on social media: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and what's that other one? Instagram. Yeah, that's the one. Instagram. We crossed 2,000 followers on Instagram this month.
That's cool. Thanks, everyone.
Which is pretty cool because we really don't do a whole lot. In fact, we need to do more. I think we'll try to post more on there and show you maybe what we're up to and some things like that. But thank you all for following us, and that's where you can reach us. It's at the Rumcast at any of those platforms, THE Rumcast, and you can interact with us there as you will, and let us know what's going on, what your thoughts are on this episode. Did we miss anything in our lineups? Of course, we probably did. We had to narrow it down, and I'm sure there are things out there. But what are some things that you think we really did miss that are under that $30 limit, but that really need more attention?
And don't forget, you can also support the show now at patreon.com/therumcast. That's patreon.com/therumcast. We're actually having our first patron-only online happy hour together. We're going to hang out. We're going to drink some rum. Maybe we'll talk more about these picks and everything together. That's going to be April 27th. So if you want to come hang out with us, just go to patreon.com/therumcast, join there. And we'd love to drink some rum with you. But John, until then, I know we've got a fun interview coming up this week that'll probably end up being our next episode. It may or may not involve one of the brands that we discussed on this very show that we haven't talked to before.
Spoiler alert.
So hey, that's a tease. Little hint. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I'll talk to you.
Alrighty. As always, thank you all for listening so much, and